I find reading to be both a lovely hobby, a nighttime treat as well before I go to sleep, and I expand my brain a little bit further than my usual sort of day stuff. My book choice today is by the popular science writer Simon Singh. Simon Singh, I got to know Simon Singh's work a little bit a few years ago when he wrote a maths style sort of documentary book called Fermat's Last Theorem, and really enjoyed his very approachable way of writing, and it was very exciting. And then he came out with another book called The Code Book. Simon Singh talks about how some people have put codes together which they thought were uncrackable, and he talks about the way in which famous people have solved those codes over centuries. Mary Queen of Scots had her own cipher. There's a very famous one called the Codex. It was made famous in the film Da Vinci Code. You basically have this sort of object where there's a secret message inside on some paper, and you have to put the correct sort of code in, and then the item opens up, and then you can grab the code out from there. If you try and break it though, it's got vinegar inside and it will dissolve the secret message, so no one ever knows what the code was. There's one very interesting story in America which is still unsolved, called the Beale cipher. This mysterious gentleman arrived at an outback pub, and he spoke to the landlord and gained trust with this landlord, and eventually gave this landlord a secret box and said, "Please don't open it until my return," a couple of years later. He didn't return, and the landlord became very, very intrigued by this box, and eventually cracked the box open and found inside a series of what seemed to be random numbers. He manages, and there's 3 sheets, he managed to crack the code of the first sheet with the American independence statement, and every letter represented a number. This mysterious person wrote in the first cipher that there was a pot of gold buried in America, and the second and third sheets would tell you the exact location of the gold. And many people have tried and failed since then to crack the cipher of the second and third sheet. So apparently there is still hidden gold in America worth millions of pounds if you can crack the code. There's bits on, if you're really interested in the Enigma machine and the Second World War and how they cracked the code. So the German army communicated via this very complicated typewriter almost, and sent messages, secret messages to themselves. And the Second World War sometimes is called the Mathematicians' War, because the way in which a lot the war was shortened by, they say, a couple of years, was that mathematicians cracked the code of the Enigma machine. And one very famous mathematician, Alan Turing, he managed to use his mathematical skills to crack the code. And I found this such an exciting sort of story. And then Simon Singh finishes the book off really by talking about modern day coding, and brings it up to date with technology. And he talks about the rise of the computers in the 1960s, and the way in which computers have relied on ciphers and encryption to keep things secure, basically, or online banking and things like that. WhatsApp claimed to have end-to-end encryption, and the way in which you can send a message to someone else in the full knowledge that even if someone taps your phone, then actually they won't be able to read your message to your friend. It's really well written. You've got to switch your brain on a bit to understand certain bits, but actually it's really satisfying to read it, so I definitely recommend it.